Hi everyone, and welcome to another drawing lesson with Miss Knudsen. Today we're going to do something different. We're going to draw still life objects, which are real objects that you sit in front of you and you observe them, you look at the elements of shape that compose these objects, and you draw them to the best of your ability. So we're going to use all of the practice we have been using in drawing the examples from the book, Drawing with Children, and we're going to build on that knowledge to draw objects that we see in everyday life. Now, it might not be as exciting as drawing a carousel horse or a ferocious lion or anything like that, and believe me, you can always draw those creatures in your imagination or things you see in books whenever you wish to practice your drawing skills. But what's really fun and challenging about still life objects is that now you are doing something that you can observe and compare your drawing to what you're seeing in real life. Now, the example in Drawing with Children is another illustration, but it's based off of a photograph, and it will help us warm up and kind of figure out the concepts of what it's like to draw still life. But then I want to encourage you all to set up your own still life, and I will give you some tips and maybe show you still life that I've set up, and we can practice doing that. So let's come together and look at the pages in Mona Brookes Drawing with Children and start our exercise of drawing a still life. All right, everyone, before we get started drawing our still life illustration found in Mona Brookes Drawing with Children, we are going to do a warm-up that helps gets our brain and our fingers all ready to draw. So the first thing I want to talk about is a very common, you okay? You stay awake? All right. A very common shape that you can find in still life over and over again. And that element of shape, it's on the elements of shape chart, but it's really important, especially for still life, and that shape is called an ellipse. And an ellipse is like a squished oval. It's like kind of like a hamburger bun, but maybe a little bit more even. Anyway, we are going to practice making ellipses before we get started with our still life. Because if you ever draw an object that is round on the top, it's going to look like an ellipse when you look at it at an angle. So let me show you an example. This is a coffee mug, okay? It is round on the top, right? So if we were to look at it from a certain angle, the top of it, even though we know it's a perfect circle, we have to draw what we see, okay? So when we draw what we see, we're going to show that this is open and it is a circle, but we don't see the whole circle. We only see an ellipse, that kind of really squished oval. So what I want us to practice is drawing ellipses, and we don't have to look at any objects to do this first. It's on the elements of shape chart if you want to look at the chart and refresh your memory as to what exactly it looks like, but it's a really flat oval. So I have Tessa here, and she is going to work with a pencil and piece of paper to practice a bunch of ellipses. And what I love to call this warm-up is flying saucer attack, okay? So you can pretend like you are filling the sky with a bunch of little alien spaceships because they kind of look like ellipses, okay? So we're going to start that warm-up and join Tessa here to draw lots of ellipses and fill our page with a flying saucer attack. And if you want, you can add some little green men on there later, okay? All right, so let's practice this shape because it's really important. All right, everyone. Tessa got started drawing what she called a rock. But let me show you what an ellipse looks like, and then you can, Tessa, you can fill the rest of this paper with the ellipses. And I challenge you all, both Tessa and those of you watching this video, that when you practice your ellipses, to try large ellipses and small ellipses. Now, an ellipse, like I said, is a very narrow oval, okay? And it is going to be even on both sides. So you might have to practice, just like I did just then, of going over it a couple times to get it even on both the left and the right. And you can do little ellipses, and you can do big ellipses. But these are really important when we are drawing still life objects. And as you can see, they look like spaceships, okay? So you guys practice doing ellipses all over your paper. Okay, oh, you're adding a top. Yeah, we can put little green men inside of it. But make sure before you go too far with that detail, Tessa, make sure you practice lots of ellipses all over your paper. So Tessa and I are going to do some ellipses on this paper, and you guys practice them at home. It's a flattened oval that's even on both sides. Okay? Fill up that paper with those ellipses. Okay, we had fun making a flying saucer attack on our paper, right, Tessa? You did a great job, and she added some details so that they look more like spaceships. I hope you guys enjoyed that warm-up, and it's one of my favorite too, because it really helps get out some nervous energy. It helps get out some nervous energy, and it helps us warm up practicing ellipses, okay? So the next thing I want us to do is I want us to look at the illustration that's in Mona Brookes Drawing with Children. The still life illustration that we will use, it starts, you can see the photo of the still life on page 118. And then we will do a step-by-step, just like we did with all the other elements of shape illustrations. We'll do a step-by-step. And the step-by-step starts on page 122. Now, Tessa and I are using a pretty large piece of paper, okay? It's pretty big. So Tessa can get pretty big with this one. What I notice with lots of my students when I teach this lesson is that we're making little teeny tiny drawings. My advice to you is that bigger is better. If you can draw something big, then you will have enough room to fix anything that needs to be fixed. I don't like to say mistakes, because mistake makes you think that there's no way that it will change. And you can fix your mistakes. That's what erasers are for, and some students like to start over and over again. I would encourage you that as you take this step by step to work with any mistakes or oopses that you might make. And if you start a little bit bigger than you're comfortable with, you might have more room to work with that. Now, that being said, you probably shouldn't make, okay, let's stop wiggling the table. We got a wiggler today. I'm sure you guys at home are wiggly too. Okay. If you make your teapot about the size of the palm of your hand, the teapot is that first object we're going to draw. If you can use the palm of your hand to help you, that will be a really good start to make your teapot about as big as the palm of your hand. Now, the palm of my hand is going to be bigger than the palm of Tessa's hand. Yeah, but that's okay. Keep your teapot about this size, and that way you will have room for the tall things that are in this still life and you'll have room to fix anything that might need to be fixed with your teapot. Now your teapot might look a little different than the illustration. That is fine. We are taking this step by step. This is the most challenging assignment so far. So you do what you can do until you feel like this isn't fun anymore, it's too much. Then you stop, okay? And you can always come and do this video and come back to your book and try the other things when you're ready, okay? So let's get started. Enough talking, more drawing, okay? Okay, so page 122. We're going to begin with the knob of the lid. All right, and we've already thought about where you're going to place your knob, and we've got it right in the middle of the paper. Now it's an ellipse, okay? An ellipse is the knob, so some sort of ellipse. Okay, Tessa's is a little bit more of a circle, but the book says an ellipse. And remember, if you want it to be a circular knob, oh, it's not an eraser. Drawing pencils don't have erasers, do they? So you can make an ellipse for that knob, just like we practice with flying saucers. Great. All right. Now you're going to draw the two straight lines that come down from the knob. And then you're going to draw the lid, okay? There is a circle that forms the top rim of the lid, and it's also an ellipse, and it goes behind the knob. So we have some overlapping going on. Good job, Tessa. All right. Now there are straight lines that connect the rim of the lid to the bottom of the lid, each on either side of the ellipse. And now we're going to follow the same curve that you did for the ellipse and finish the lid at the bottom. Okay, all right, good, Tessa. Now that is a tricky part. Remember that ellipses are round, and if something is also curved, you have to follow that same curve of the ellipse. Now, let's do a step-by-step of the teapot. Here's the body of the teapot.
We're choosing celebration, breaking into freedom. You're the song of our hearts. We cast aside our shadows, trust you with our sorrows. You're the song of our hearts. Dancing to the rhythm of your heart. We're rising from the ashes to the stars. You're the joy, 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 light in my soul. The joy, 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 making me whole. Though I'm broken, I am running into your arms of love. Define us.
Okay everyone, Tessa has finished up the bottle that is off to the side of the teapot, and now she is on to page 125 and 126. And Mona Brookes gives you many different illustrations of the types of flowers or plants you can put inside of the bottle that is to the left of the teapot. So really, all you young artists, you can have a bit of creativity as to what sort of plant or flower you want to have in your jar. But the author of the book has some really cool examples, like looks like eucalyptus and some other really pretty stick-like flowers and plants. So choose which one you want to do in your jar.
After you complete the vegetation in the jar, you can be done with your still life if you wish. You can give the objects a ground to sit on. You can color it in. You can add patterns, whatever you want. Tessa is going to go on to do level 2 with the still life, which starts on page 128. And parents, you can read to younger artists if they're ready to take on that challenge. But the instructions continue on 129 if you want to go on and do more to your still life.
Don't be afraid of who you want to be. Remember I'm here. So mama, maybe you should take the first step, and the rest will follow. It will follow. It will follow.
All right, everyone. If you are still with us drawing the next jar that's to the right of the teapot, what goes inside of this jar are kitchen utensils. So you can look at what you have in your kitchen if you want to, or you can look at the illustration on page 130 of Drawing with Children.
This is the end of level 2, adding the kitchen utensils. So you can stop here if you wish and ground your objects, color them in, and do whatever you want to with the rest of your still life. Tess is moving on and going to level 3, which is adding the abacus. And remember, there's lots of overlapping, so do your best to put the abacus behind the other objects that you've already drawn.
Forget the limits that they taught you.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We just drew something that was pretty difficult, didn't we, Tessa? It was the most challenging illustration in Mona Brookes Drawing with Children so far. And if you were brave and tough enough to get all the way to the level 3 aspect of the still life, which was finishing it all the way up to the abacus, I applaud you. Good job. These steps, using the elements of shape, were the most challenging as far as the little tiny marks and little tiny angles that you have to do. And depending on the skill that you have as a young artist, maybe how old you are, or how tired you are at the end of the day, or how excited you are to do this lesson, some things can feel tougher than others. But Tessa here, she's a pretty brave soul. And she did all the way to level 3, and she did, it is smaller than I would like it to be. I think that we could try it bigger, because what we discovered is when you have to fix all those little things you want to fix, they're really little, and sometimes when you erase, you end up erasing something that was next to it as well because it's kind of small, right, Tessa? So I always encourage you guys to, even though it feels like kind of scary to be big, it is good to try to make it bigger, okay? So if you've made it this far, you will notice that your still life is kind of floating in the middle of a big white page, okay? It's kind of not grounded. It's not resting on anything. And one thing we know about these objects is that they need something to rest on. So your next step, after you finish everything you want to finish with your still life, is to make sure to give your object something to rest on. Whether it is a piece of furniture, whether it's just a flat, straight line, maybe you want to put a tablecloth or a placemat or, another shape underneath it to make it seem finished and grounded, please do that. That is the next step in finishing your still life, is giving your objects something to rest on. So here we have, guys, another ellipse. Notice that Tessa has drawn an ellipse to go around all of her still life objects to make a nice tabletop. What are you drawing now, Tessa?
Is
it a tablecloth?
Yes.
All right, she's drawing a tablecloth that hangs down off the table. Ooh, and other details. So you guys finish up the details that you would love to put in your still life. And of course, when you are totally finished, color it in. And you can make your teapot neon pink if you want to. All right? Have a good time finishing up these details, guys. All right, everyone. We had a great time today drawing with you and learning a completely new thing. Drawing real-life objects is very challenging, and sometimes our judge that lives inside of our head that likes to say, that looks wrong, that's terrible, fix it, try again, start over. It can get really loud when we are drawing things that we see right in front of us. So remember to take your time. Remember to enjoy the process and the journey of learning how to draw objects from real life. Practice those elements of shape and draw the same thing over and over again. And if you get frustrated with drawing real life objects and you want to draw those imaginary creatures, if you want to go draw Leo the lion and make him soar through the clouds or land on Mars, if you want to draw a unicorn with the carousel horse illustration, all of those things are wonderful. Just keep drawing, keep practicing. The more you practice, the better you will get. So join us again next time when we draw something completely new. Good job, guys. See you later.